This is an interesting comment that was left on my YouTube channel. Thought I'd read it to you and then answer the question. Hey David, how about a video explaining how to remove all your supers at once for harvesting? I get asked a lot by new beaks that if they take all the supers off, what will happen to all the bees that were in those supers? Now they have considerably less room. As we're about to hit the time of year, I can just point them to your video and not have to keep explaining over and over, smiley face. Thanks for all the hard work and your educational skills, Paul. Well, thanks a lot, Paul. And I thought this would be a good hive to answer that question on. And that is a very good question. Over the years of me keeping bees, I have found that same question to be present on my mind as well. And we'll use this hive right here. It's a very active hive. Oh, by the way, this is the red wax hive that we did the red wax experiment on. And I'll be giving away some of that honey from this hive that we extracted. We have already taken one super off and extracted it. And I'll be giving some of that honey away in our live streams every Thursday at 7 p.m. Central Time. But if you look, this hive essentially has a brood nest that consists of the bottom deep and this top super here. This is their brood nest area. And for the life of me, without going back and watching my old videos, I can't remember if I overwintered with these two or if I had another super on for winter. I don't remember. But nonetheless, I would like to overwinter this hive with this deep and this super. And that means that's warm. That means I could harvest this one, and this one. However, Paul has a good point that if I take all of these supers off at one time, that means all of the bees here and here and here are going to be forced to live in these two boxes. All right, I got a lot to say about this. Listen up. Here's the deal. The bees that we have in this hive now, because now, today, I'm not sure what day I'm going to publish this, but I'm filming it on August the 1st. August the 1st is going to still leave me some time before winter, and it is a time to harvest. These are all capped over. But if I take them all off now, where are all of my bees going to go in the hot dog days of August? They're going to be trapped down in these two boxes. All right, here's some options. First option. You can take all three of these off at once and you can harvest them, and you can get it done in what? How long would it take you to do that? Maybe 2 or 3, 4 hours tops if you were taking your time. You could do it less than that probably, but let's say 4 hours. So, you know, you could take all three off, and yeah, it would force all the bees down in these two at the bottom. This is a deep and a medium size. But as soon as you're done with extracting one of them, bring it back out here and put it right here on top of these two that you're leaving. So in other words, take all three off like you want to do, harvest one, immediately put it right back on for space. And you can do the same for the other two. As soon as you get the next one done, put it back. As soon as you get the next one done, put it back. So that would work out pretty well if you want to do it that way, if you have to take all three off at once. I wouldn't do it that way personally. I've got plenty of time and space. I'm not under a tight agenda. So what I would do is just take one at a time off, harvest it, you know, bring it back, put it on, swap it out with a full one. I would just take one at a time off. But I used to take off, I would just grab all my supers at one time. Drive a big truck around, take all the honey supers off, take them to the processing room, extracting room, and there you have just mounds and mounds of honey supers I had going through automated equipment. So I get the idea of having to take them all off at once. But what I was going to say earlier, glad my mind circled back around to it, is that even though you see all of these bees here now, most of these bees aren't going to be the bees that you're going to see, let's say, in December, because it's August the 1st. All of these bees have a short-lived life. These are not bees of winter physiology just yet, so that means they only going to live 45 days. So even though they're crowded, there is going to be a rapid die-off of bees. And I don't think people get that. I don't think most beekeepers understand that when you look at a hive and you see adult bees in there, I don't think they understand that those adult bees are dying off at a pretty fast pace if they only live 45 days. Now, those bees are staggered about their ages, right? Like some certain percent are going to be bees that are nurse bee age, some are going to be older, some are going to be foragers. So you've got a pretty good, I guess, overlay of different ages. But here's the deal. The queen is slowed down a lot in normal circumstances from laying many eggs once you get into a dearth, when there's not as much nectar coming in, and once it starts getting, the days are getting shorter daylight. And so what's going to happen is you'll see a great reduction in population, especially as you get into November and December. And so my concern, of course, in the way I do it, is that I don't want my bees to be reduced in number going into winter. I have harsh winters, strong winds, cold temperatures. So I'll start feeding my bees. So in this case, yeah, I'll probably harvest these two here and remove them. I will not go through winter with this many boxes on. This is enough for me, but I'll probably leave this super on for insurance purposes to help them get through the winter. And then my winter bee kind on top of this. So in my mind, these two medium supers here kind of take the place of another deep instead of two deeps. I mean, I know the inches don't quite turn out that way. It's a little bit larger here. This is 9 inches, 9 1/8. This is going to be a little over 12. And so it's going to be a little bit of a bigger area, but it's going to be fine. That's sufficient because oftentimes I have 2 deeps and a super. So this is going to be what I would do, is remove these two, harvest that, leave them off, and then put my honey super, or put my winter bee kind board on, top cover, go through the winter like that. Brings up another good point. What do you do if you go through, if you're getting finished with the year and you harvest these 2 boxes here and you extract it? What do you do with these honey supers here, the 2 here? Well, a lot of beekeepers like myself, we have freezers. We have chest-sized freezers, or I've got a refrigerator type size freezer that I can open up and slip a lot of these into. So freezing and storing supers with frames in them after you extract is a great way to kill a lot of pests that are in there, maybe small hive beetle larvae or eggs, wax moth larvae eggs, can always be in there. But that way you freeze it and kill it. And if you don't have the storage space, then you could put it in there temporarily to kind of kill everything for 2 or 3 days, take it out and store it in a nice dry place. But you want to protect these, store them in a temperature that's not real humid. And just, I know that's difficult. I understand some beekeepers don't have freezer space. Some beekeepers don't have a storage place, a nice bug-free garage, for example, that's going to stay 70 degrees, for example. But I'm just telling you, that's the best way to do it. Otherwise, if you can't do that, you got to do a lot of crazy stuff, like using, what is it, B402. You have to use paradichlorine benzenate. You have to use a whole bunch of different kind of chemicals to try to kill off wax moths from taking over your supers and all. And, I don't like to do all that. I really don't. So I just like to freeze everything and store it. And some things I don't have to freeze. I can look at it, I can tell it looks good, and I don't really freeze them. I don't worry about wax moth or small beetle larvae that much. These I probably will, because I have seen some small beetle in here, and I don't want small beetle, if I just go off and store these after extraction, they could get slimed or kind of eaten up by small beetle, even wax moth. So I will freeze these and then take them out of the freezer and just put them in a very low humidity room that I have, that I keep at about 40 to 50% humidity. And so that answers the question. I know it doesn't solve all the scenarios, but at least gives you an idea of kind of the circumstances around the bees, the number of bees that are going to be pushed out of these 3 into these 2 when you take them all off at once. So I've given you some options on how you can deal with that. Like I said, if you wanted to start with your top one, just put some honey banded up here and run all the bees down into this section, right? And that way you got this one off and you extract it. And if you want to, you can bring this one back, take this one off, put your empty one that you extracted in its place, and then run all the bees down to there. So you can kind of just, like a Rubik's Cube, you can keep moving things around until, you know, your bees are never gonna be in any space smaller than maybe this many right here, if this is what you're leaving on for winter. Gosh, I hope that's helpful. I love answering these kind of questions. You know, that's another reason why I love being on YouTube. And I think you'll find me to be someone that really does care about the beekeeper. And I make my living on bees and beekeeping equipment that we sell. That's my life, that's my livelihood, and that's by choice. I love it. I love working with bees, and I'm very, very thankful and blessed that I can make my living off these little tiny bugs. And so I have you to thank for that. You're a big supporter of my channel. I appreciate it so much. And you help me out by watching my videos, subscribing, or buying things from us. That helps me to continue to be able to live off my bees. And in return, I thank you by offering this kind of wisdom that I've gathered over almost 30 years since I started beekeeping. Hey, it's free. I just offer free information like this. So I hope it's beneficial for you. Now, if you want to watch another video that I just recently made, I think you'll really enjoy it. Might be something that will really, again, help you in all the things that you struggle with sometimes with your bees. I know it can be a challenge, but I just made a video about beekeeping is not for cowards, and you got to cowboy up and get her done. Take a look at that video right over here. I'll meet you over there.